Welcome again to our Bulldog Bites. We're so excited to continue this series, and we are so thrilled today to have Dr. Judy, also Brooks Meredith, with us. And I'm going to read her bio as we get started. And thanks for being with us today, Dr. Meredith.
So happy to be here with you.
Well, good. I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, and then we'll get started with some questions. Dr. Meredith is a former TV and radio news reporter and anchor in Jackson, Mississippi, and she's also was one in Cincinnati, Ohio. Dr. Meredith is a retired college mass communications professor, and she was the developer and former manager of the Jackson State University television station. Dr. Meredith earned a PhD in public policy and administration from Mississippi State University in 2007, and she's a former Fulbright scholar in Germany and has traveled extensively all over the world, both professionally and as a tourist as well, seeking knowledge about the coexistence of various cultures, religious, and ethnic groups. She's a daughter of a piano instructor, and she's also a classical pianist herself and served as a minister of music. So she's obviously very, very talented. She is a Gary, Indiana native, and she now lives in Jackson with her husband, civil rights icon James Meredith, and they have a blended family of 5 children and 11 grandchildren. Dr. Meredith, I'm so excited to have you today and to talk to you about all kinds of exciting things. Thanks for being with us.
I'm happy to be here.
I want you to tell me a little bit, just to get started, about your childhood and growing up in Indiana in the 1950s.
Well, it was a very happy childhood. I was adopted when I was, my parents got me when I was 2.5.
Okay.
And the adoption went through at 3.5. And interesting background, I'm mixed. My mother was white, my father,
right,
obviously. And they started me in music at a very, very early age. So I guess about 3.5, they bought a piano.
Wow.
And my mother started teaching me. And then when I went to kindergarten, I had started actually reading music. And so they sent me to a Catholic school when I was in the 4th and 5th grades. And I played for Mass, the pipe organ.
Wow.
My feet didn't touch the pedals. But
are you still doing a lot of music? Do you still play today?
I don't. About 3 years ago, I went to one of my other universities. I got a bachelor's in music education from Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. And I went back and played piano organ duet. And that was pretty much the last time. Before that, I played for a number of churches and minister of music, at some of them. Actually, here in Jackson, I played for Lynch Street CME, a Methodist church, and the historic Ferris Street Baptist Church.
Wow.
Everywhere I've lived, I've played.
How long have you been working with Jackson State, or how long did you work on staff there at Jackson State University?
24 years.
Wow.
So I actually retired from Jackson State. When I got the position at Jackson State, I was working at WAPT TV, Channel 16 in Jackson. And I got a call that inspired me to apply for that position. They wanted to develop a television station. And I thought that was a great opportunity for me to teach children, young people. I shouldn't call them children. They are to me.
They are to me too.
But to provide an avenue for especially young Black people to be able to go into television. When I went into it, there weren't very many Black anchors or reporters. And so that was an opportunity. And I am so pleased with some of them have gone on to bigger and better things.
When did you move then from Indiana, I guess, to Mississippi? When were you become a Mississippi resident?
I left my Yankee status and came 40 years ago. That's when
Oh,
I married James.
okay.
Actually teaching music at school in Illinois, right outside of Chicago, Maywood, Illinois. And I met him at a girlfriend's house. And that was a funny story too. But
Well, tell that. I want to hear how y'all met. That's neat.
well, it was during the holiday season. It was Christmas or a day or two after Christmas. And James, I was at, like I said, my girlfriend, and her husband answered the door unexpectedly. He said, James, Meredith, I have a single woman in here I want you to meet.
I
And so
love it.
he came in. He had driven to Gary, which is where I grew up, from Jackson. And he was on his way to South Bend, Indiana, to a funeral, a relative's funeral. In fact, I think it was his uncle, his mother's brother. And Tommy, my girlfriend's husband, jumped in the car and they drove to South Bend. And Tommy says they got into the church. And James looked down and saw the casket and said, man, ain't nothing I could do for this man. Take me back to your house where that woman is before she leaves. And that's
How long after that were y'all married then?
2.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
Special.
I came to Mississippi. He brought me down for my birthday in February. We met in December. He brought me down for my birthday in February. He called my girlfriend to remind him how I looked because he didn't want to give the ring to the wrong person.
That's a pretty quick engagement. I guess James knew exactly what he wanted.
So we got married the next month in March at the same house where we had met. Yeah.
That is so special. Well, I think that's one of the things I want to talk to you about is the latest project that you're working on. And it's, I guess, a documentary about James Meredith. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now with that.
Right. Well, it's just, it's almost a tutorial documentary. I used my knowledge and skills from television to actually work on my computer. And of course, I had all kind of video, and I was able to buy the license for some of the older video, the black and white video.
Right.
Pictures. And I decided, and I used my voice to narrate. And I talked about James, the two major events, the Ole Miss integration, and then 3 years after he graduated from Ole Miss, he went on this one-man walk from Memphis to Jackson. But on that second day, he was shot by a sniper. And so I talked about all of that, and I also provided the background music for it. So
Wow.
I was able to combine, my skills and knowledge. And it's only 30 minutes long, but it's a good way to give the history of James.
Well, I think that's what's so important. We hear a lot of stories, and history is obviously, I taught school for a while, and history is, to me, one of the very important things that it's not all pretty, but we need to know the story. Yeah. And we need to understand what happened because it helps us, I think, as a community and as a nation, it helps us grow. And now, is this available? Like, can people find it? Where do we find it to watch it?
Actually, yeah, it's on YouTube. So
okay.
There. And there's another documentary that a good friend of ours who lives in, he's from the UK. And he did a documentary that is now on Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
Okay.
It was very well done. They had a lot of money in order to do this one. So it's really pretty comprehensive. More so than
well,
not.
Like you said, nowadays you can get on your phone and record something. It may not be as nice or fancy.
Absolutely.
Still can get the information out. So I think that's wonderful. You could, with your ability there, with what you had on your computer,
sure.
And have all, like you said, the money to do it. But I think the story coming from you and being part of James's life, I think that's really, really special. So I look forward to checking that out, and I hope our viewers will as well. Now, I'm not as familiar with the Fulbright Scholar, but tell me a little bit about that and your experience, how that impacted your learning experience as you were going through.
And I was actually working at Jackson State. I was still developing the television station there, and I applied for a Fulbright in communication in Germany. And I was really shocked. What they do is they send you a letter, you know, you're one of the runner-ups, and then a month or two later, they'll say, you made it to the next level, you know, and then finally they sent a letter and told me that I was in. And so
Wow.
I think it was a summer, so it wasn't that long.
I got you.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And it was remarkable. It was a very interesting experience. We were able to go all around the country, different places, and visit their magazine productions and the television, their film, and you know, just it was interesting. Met a lot of people, interesting people, of course. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where we learn. You know, we learn from the different cultures and the different people that have various backgrounds. I think that's, to me, I lived in the DC area for a while and worked on Capitol Hill. And I think meeting people from other places, it just broadens our horizons, and we're able to kind of learn more about, everybody's different. Everybody has a different story. And I love learning about all those stories.
I do too. And you realize that you're different, but you're more alike than you are different, you know? So it's fun for me. I love diversity. And
I think the key right there, like you said, I think we can be different and we can disagree on our views. But
sure.
I think the great thing is we learn from that. And I think we have to respect and appreciate that. We've lost a lot of that, I think, in our country. And that's fortunate, because I think we have so much to offer, and
Right.
so history and what's happened there, you know, with James's life and you sharing that, it just shows where we are and where we've come. And so I think that's exciting. I know you've been in higher education for a long time, and you started out a little earlier, but where do you see now where it's come from, and what changes have you seen in higher education over the years that you've been in there?
Well, I think I have seen more women taking administrative roles. That's a good thing. That was actually what my dissertation was on. It was about I thought my puppy Charlie was coming in. But anyway, it was about women in higher education in the Deep South.
Right.
In administrative roles. And so what I found with that was, it was really interesting. The women that I surveyed, they actually liked teaching better. They didn't want the administrative. And then there was a group of them, a certain number of them, that said they would think about it if they were going to get paid as well as the men administrators.
I think that's exactly, you know, that's a very valid point. And I think, like you said, I think a lot of people, I've done administration and I've taught as well. And there's something about being in a classroom and connecting with your students. And I think people miss that when they're doing it. There's a need, obviously, on the administrative side as well, but I do enjoy that as well.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing I have noticed the most is more participation with women in administrative roles.
And did you I think your dissertation was in 2011. And so do you continue to research and find things related to that now? I mean, it's 10 years later, you know, I'm sure a lot has changed.
I must have given you the wrong graduation thing. Oh, no, you know what? I think it was published in 2011.
Published in 2011.
There was a German, I can't even think of the name of it, but I think they publish everybody's dissertation. But anyway, that was published in 2011, right?
Well, I am very intrigued by all the information that you shared. What do you think is could you say was one of your best experiences while you've been at Jackson State, something that's going to really stick with you for the rest of your, you know, career, something that was really special?
Well, of course, the students. I had a call on my birthday. I hadn't talked to this young man. Oh my God, it's so long. And he is a CBS correspondent,
Oh,
not at a
wow.
local station. He's actually on CBS News. And
Wow.
my students, Katina Rankin in Memphis. I have another student that became executive producer of a Chicago state news organization, and that's a major market as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
And so ESPN, so my students, and whether they actually go in television or not, it has been truly an honor and my pleasure to serve them. And that's how I think about it. I believe that we are called to that profession to serve. And so that's very important to me. The other thing that happened while I was there was we actually, the state legislature, which was a big surprise, but I went after it anyway. They gave us the appropriations. They appropriated the money for us to move from one little tiny room on Jackson State's campus to the E-Center. Yeah, and it's a beautiful, I think about 7,000 foot thing, that room within that building, that we actually built out 2 studios, beautiful studios, and just, everything that you would ask for. At that time, it was state-of-the-art equipment as well.
Right.
So,
And that obviously things change,
oh
technology.
yeah, so I'm sure
That's
they
a
have,
constant thing.
so hopefully they have some more equipment now.
Are you still connected or involved? I know you're retired, but do you still stay connected?
Not at all. I'm enjoying my retirement, traveling with James, and I'm on the board for Mississippi. I almost said Mississippi News tonight. I used to work for them, but the Free Press, Mississippi Free Press, is a wonderful newspaper, and I really think that newspaper actually it's online right now, and it's
Okay.
offshoot from Jackson Free Press.
Right.
Excellent journalism, just really top notch. So I'm on that board, so that keeps me a little busy.
You stay involved, I'm sure. I know with your knowledge and your abilities, I know they want to keep you connected. But like you said, now you're enjoying your time
Yeah.
with James and your grandchildren and children. You have 11, I think, grandchildren.
Right.
What do you want, or what, as you look to their future? Our country, as we know, has changed so much. And as a mom myself, I don't have grandchildren yet, but I have 2 boys, and one's about to get married next spring. What is it that you want their futures? What do you want to see for them in the next, 10 years for them, for your grandchildren?
Well, I just hope that the country can continue to go in the right direction where they'll have opportunities. I guess it's kind of different when you're Black. You think about their safety, and you think about, like you said, their future. What will they become? College now is, since James's integration, I have to add, is better now to get admitted for Black children. And so basically just be all that they can be, be honest, be good citizens, serve the public if that's what they're going to do, and just, the best of everything, of course.
I think that's exactly right. We all want that for our families. And as we see them, like you said, face difficulties, and there's always going to be those difficulties. But I think as moms and grandmoms and, just as parents, we want to tell them it's okay and you can do it. There's going to be ups and downs, and you, obviously, you and James both face a lot in your lives, and you overcome though. And you see, I think that story of their grandfather and all that he accomplished, and you as well, and the work that you did at Jackson State, it's so well accomplished and very impressive. And And I think we learn from our parents and our families, and we learn from people that are mentors. And I know you probably have a lot of people in your life that you were mentored by, and that you mentor as well. I think that's such an important part of our giving back.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how I would have made it through even undergrad. My mother passed away when I was the summer before I went into my sophomore year. And that was devastating.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so there was a teacher that was really just kind of took me in, in terms of mentoring and grooming. And she was really a wonderful person, and we're still friends.
That's very good. That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Dr. Meredith, for being with us today. I've learned so much, and I also did not know, and that's one thing that's so special about this Bulldog Bites that we do, these sessions. Are alumni. You are alumni of Mississippi,
Yeah.
as I am as well, and I appreciate all that you do and representing our university. And thank you for your time today.
I am so glad to be here, and I'm so happy to be a Bulldog.
That's right.
I am.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.